about before. You can get why I said all that, right? I'd rather not have my one chance of escape have a panic attack and die on me after years of being suspended in a faulty relaxation vault. Which could be a real possibility, because as my records show, the old test could cause heart attacks after small exposure to the chemicals. And you were pumped full of them. So, let's all just take a breath and start over. My name's Virgil. I'm a core from up in the Enrichment Center. And before you even think of asking, yes, there is a building above you, and yes, I came from it. I'm not crazy. Don't be too alarmed though. A lot's changed since you got put on ice.
job, Mel. See that pipe there that the repulsion tail's leaking on? That'll take you to the pumping station. Jump down and walk on it. Oh, and try not to fall off. That goo down there is corrosive, and it doesn't like human skin.
This next chamber is a giant microwave. If your internal organs begin to combust, you may want to start solving the test quicker.
Now, according to my records of this room, there should be a turret shooting range at the far side of the room. If you can get through there, you should be able to get to the fourth testing track. That'll take you up to where I am. That was odd. Normally when people do that sort of thing, they just fly through the hole in the wall. I guess not this time. Good. That gel should help you get past those turrets. Great. Should be a straight shot to the next testing track. Go to that door down at the very end. You know, the one with the giant wheel on it. Do it again. It'll open this time, I swear. Just give it some elbow grease. Oh, come on, you got this. One more shot. Well, great. You can fling yourself all over the place and get past some old turrets that are firing live rounds, but you can't get a door open? What kind of Olympian are you? Alright, let's see what we can do. There's a longer route through a repulsion gel pumping station. Guess you're going to have to go that way. You can get through this pumping station and prepare yourself to get out of Bravo Volta into the Lima Whiskey testing track. That should bring you closer to me and to your own escape from this facility. Alright, I know what you're thinking. What on earth is going on here? Well, Aperture's early tests weren't always that successful. You were unlucky. That was the worst test Cave Johnson ever greenlit. But it's nice for me to have an Olympian at my disposal. Yeah, I have that information from you at the 1936 Nuremberg Olympics. You should have gotten that silver medal.
We painted subliminal messaging all over the walls in this next test. So if you feel the sudden urge to buy a bunch of Aperture Science merchandise afterwards, we'll count that as a success. The local zoo made an offer we couldn't refuse, so you may encounter several grizzly bears and/or lions in this next test. Those of you that smoke may want to steer clear of this next one. We've coated the propulsion gel in gasoline. Thought it might increase the acceleration properties of the gel. Turns out it's just extremely flammable and ignites when you run on it.
You know how to find the elevator out of here! Don't get me wrong, I admire your enthusiasm, but I would have told you if that was working. They boarded it up when they kept building above this facility. Sorry, but that's not gonna do anything. The chairs are comfy though. And our good luck just ran out. I can't override the locks to that test chamber. Maybe there's a way over it. See if there's anything you can use. All right, look, I'm sorry for what I said back there. We're in this together. You're my ticket out of the junkyard down here. I'm your ticket to the outside world. I'll do my best to keep the insults at a minimum. Just try harder next time. I kind of have a bit of bad news. Yeah, I know. You don't want to hear any more bad news after the security override. I couldn't do. My records of this sphere are out of date, to say the least. There should be an exit after the third section of this test. However, I don't know if getting there will be that easy. You got it in you, though. You're my Olympian, who might not have a beating heart anymore. Wait a second, I'm getting some strange voice coming through. I'll patch it through.
Scanning. Lima Whiskey. 70% complete. No vital signs detected. Initiating flooding procedure.
That's coming up from new aperture. What's that? My scans are going nuts. Something's happening. The sphere's unstable. Get out of here. Run!
Blew the whole toxic goo pump station apart. It's letting flood waters out. We gotta get out of here. It's not safe. Get through the control centers. There's a transition seal leading up to where I am. Hurry, before this whole place floods or comes down. Is exploding. Rocks are falling everywhere, and you're taking the elevator? What if the power went out? You'd be trapped.
out of there. The room's filling with smoke. Good. At least you won't suffocate in this room. But you still need to find a way to get to the transition seal. Is there anything you can use to put out the fire or something? Whoa, but don't do that. You won't bring the place down in your head. I can't believe that worked. Oh, right, get going before something else happens. Wow, if you'd been there a few seconds earlier, you'd have been incinerated. Thank the maker you were, though. I need the muscle. When the pump station blew, the floodgates opened up wide. Toxic goos rising fast, the sensors maxed out ages ago, warning lights going crazy all around. This just got a lot more serious. You're at Quality Control Center 95D. Only a bit further and you'll be at the hatch up to me. Hurry. I'll try to slow the goo down a bit. The door won't open from this side. Maybe there's some other way around or something? Oh, great! Another blocked corridor! don't you take your time? Look around here. I'll try to slow the rising goo down a little bit harder, I guess. Just don't take all day. Great job, Mel. You're on the other side of that door now. Yes! Very good. The doors are locked? Back in the day, the wiring was a bit strange sometimes. Try turning some machinery on, see if that also unlocks the doors. Wow, that actually worked. I mean, great! Well, that's just great. Can't we get through a room once without stuff blowing up or blocking our way? Try to find some water again or something. Great. From there, there's just the walls. Don't get comfy though. I've pulled the plug on some emergency runoff dams, but the goo is still rising. Wow, this place is massive! Whoever built this place must be a great architect. Up high, at the back side of this room, is a control panel. It controls the hatch. Try to get there. records show that at least 2 people were needed to activate the vault hatch. You're one person. There's a bit of a problem there. I'm sure you can figure something out. You're smarter than I thought. Not a genius like me, but still. Take the elevator up to me. I'm in the junkyard just outside the hatch. It's finally time for me to repay my end of the deal. A short walk to the new enrichment center from here. We'll meet up shortly. And good news, we're not going to have to worry about the goo eating us alive. I'll seal up the hatch and we don't have to worry about that anymore. That's definitely a plus.